How's it going, everyone? This is Javita. This is a quick start guide for the game Boundless. If you're unfamiliar with this game, feel free to check out my previous video that I did on this. It's not a formal review, but it'll give you a pretty good idea of what the game is all about and kind of some of the things that set it apart from other similar type games. Last time we covered the workbench, extractor, and compactor. If you are unfamiliar with these machines, you might consider checking out part 3 of this quick start series. First up, we have the refinery. This is a fairly straightforward machine. It can refine stone, gleam, as well as the compacted forms of metal and gems. The recipe for the compactor is similar to previous machines, however, this time it includes compact iron instead of regular metal. Thankfully, all current recipes are on a one-to-one basis, so by using bulk and mass orders, you can stretch your supplies a little bit further. The one exception to this is some of the more advanced refinery processes require spark, which is essentially the in-game power supply. Crafting purposes aside, the refinery adds additional building options for each of the 3 stone types. Each variation has its own stairs, walls, and slabs. Next up, we have the power core for, you guessed it, generating power, or rather spark as it's called in the world of Boundless. Once crafted, you can use just about any fuel to generate spark, and in order to use it, you must first connect the crafting machine to the power core with a pipe. It is important to note that breaking the power core deletes all spark stored in it. This is probably the most complicated machine to craft in the game currently. It requires an iron fire pit and 10 cogs, both of which are crafted at the workbench. It then requires machined iron, which is refined compacted iron that is then machined in the workbench. And last but certainly not least, 2 ancient tech components. Tech components can be quite frustrating for new players to find. They are quite rare on the starter planets. Thankfully, however, they are only used to make power cores as of release 155. By far the easiest way to obtain these would be to buy them from another player. However, I would exercise a bit of caution, as on Solum alone the price can vary anywhere from 5,000 to 165. However, if you're like me and you want to find all of these materials yourself before you think about buying them, there is some good news and some bad news. The good news is that tech components can spawn essentially anywhere where you find stone. The bad news is that you can find stone essentially anywhere, and that tech components are generally found one at a time. If you're dead set on finding these yourself, there are 3 main options that I can see for finding them. Number 1, if you're going straight for the power core and you're not concerned of getting off the planet as quickly as possible, you can search directly for the tech components themselves. However, if your goal is to get off the planet as soon as possible and you don't want to buy anything, you will also need gold, and therefore I would recommend looking for gold in hopes that you will also find tech components along the way. When looking for tech components directly, I recommend maximizing the surface area of exposed rock you can look at. You can do this by going to the desert and patrolling the surface of rocky areas. The desert caves, however, I haven't had much luck in the desert caves, or you could also go to the snowy mountains and the naturally generated caves there. If you are going the gold route, gold is most likely to spawn in the desert, inside of mountains, above the elevation of 100, and generally 30 blocks underneath the surface of the mountain. That being said, gold can technically spawn just about anywhere, and I have found it in a wide range of places. Another thing to consider is that resources take longer to regenerate than terrain, so an ideal mining location can become barren with over-mining. The final option would be to simply go to another planet. As of release 157, there are now portals and portal hubs on just about every starter planet. I can list some of the locations of the ones that I know of. These are by far not the only ones, I'm sure. By far, I've had the best luck in the caves on Volto. Volto's the ring world of the US East servers. It can be reached by going to Pixel Gate. You can find just about everything in these caves, ranging all the way from soft coal up to titanium and even rubies. So far, my experience has been if you're finding rubies, you don't really find the other rare resources, and vice versa. Moving along, the final machine as of build 155 is the mixer. This machine allows you to make brick mixture, healing brews, as well as the alloys for silver, gold, and titanium. Most but not all recipes will utilize spark generated by the before mentioned power core. Brick mixture is made by mixing one of the 3 stone types with compacted clay. It's important to note that bricks currently cannot be chiseled, so keep that in mind if you're using it as a building material. Healing Brew is an advanced healing item that restores all HP. It is made by mixing cooked berries and cooked meat. Finally, the mixer allows for gold, silver, and titanium alloys, which will allow you to make tools out of these metals. However, since the alloys first have to be compacted and refined, they can be quite time-consuming and resource-intensive. For gold and silver hammers, it takes 20 precious metal along with its respective lesser metal. Anyway, I think this will wrap up this episode quite nicely. Next episode, I'll be doing a more in-depth guide of how to find the rare resources such as silver, gold, titanium, and tech components. This was Jvita. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, like it. Subscribe if you want to see more like it. And if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down in the comments. Till next time, peace.